Hello viewers, welcome to another interesting edition of the Point Blank Forum. My name is Kizito Osimnobi Ibe. I have as a guest today an outstanding and unassuming woman. She is successful as a child, student, mother, and a wife. Born into an elite family, but that does not go into her head. She is very humble and loyal. She had her primary and secondary school successfully, acquired her BS honors in economics, masters in industrial relations and personnel management, and also jurid doctorate, respectively. She is the chief executive officer of an NGO, a 501c organization called Vickers Global Charities, Inc. She has a flair for humanity. This has been an issue in her life, thinking how to better the life of every Nigerian within and outside Nigeria. With this singular zeal, she took the horn by the bone to delve into politics, seeking election to represent Okigwe South Federal Constituency. Okigwe South Constituency comprises of Ehimembano, Ihitoboma, and Obo. Help me to welcome to the studio Lady Dr. Ijeoma Victoria Ehieze Ni Ebo. Madam, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Going by your background, it seems politics runs in your bloodstream.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Politics actually runs in everybody's bloodstream. It's a matter of when you allow yourself to react to issues concerning the communities of the world. Yes, growing up, I grew up in a family, political family, with my father, Dr. the Honorable E.C. Ebo, represented our community in the Constituent Assembly in 1977-78, and then I also represented Bano East in House of Representatives during Shagari's regime in the Second Republic. And I watched him as a young person growing, carried his portfolio, as the case may be, and then watched the activities that he took on, both at the floor of the House, being regarded as one of the best legislators that ever existed, respected by his colleagues and peers, being respected for what he does and what he stands for. Yes, I would say that if you say it runs in the family, that's where I got the niche.
Okay, but what you just said, during the period of your apprenticeship, let me use this word, you are carrying portfolio for your dad, and from your records, when you finish your high school or secondary school, you were opportunity to work in the National Assembly as a clerk. Did you get any incentives from that experience working in the National Assembly?
Sure. I worked as a young person as actually executive clerk, quite a big position for somebody who just finished high school.
Okay.
So I participated in several committees, and both Senate and House of Reps, and especially, even though my dad was a legislator, but I was put under the pressure of every other employee, no preference treatments whatsoever. Okay. I got the job because I had high school, and also did what every other person did, working there. But I saw the rapport between the legislators of different parties, the MPP and the MPN, and partly some of the GMPP legislators, and they worked together. I saw also that the constituents meant a lot to them, and whereby the constituents can freely come to them and see them, where they are deliberating, and can see them as they are walking by in Tafawa Balewa Square and identify to say, this is my legislator, and stop them and talk to them
and they listen to
feel them, and they listen to them. And that's unlike what's happening right now.
Okay, that is the next question I wanted to ask you. With the crop of legislators we have now, do you think they are doing enough, they are passing enough bills that have direct bearing to Nigerian populace?
Well, coming into public service, it will be a wrong start to criticize those before you, because nobody is perfect actually, but I have an issue with them limiting themselves as to what they do, and then not really thinking much as to how to impact the communities that put them there. I'm saying that they are doing their best, what they think is best for legislations. And I am thinking that they could expand their role and do what the previous legislators did, which is to see to the needs of their populace and actually getting involved in there instead of legislations only. They can execute some things. They can negotiate. That's what I learned from my dad. It's not the job of a legislator. It's not only legislation. You can do a whole lot than legislation. Okay,
Nigerians have been clamoring for a salary cut of most of our legislators, senators, and that they are there for themselves, getting all the kind of allowances. Assuming you have the opportunity of being there next year, would you pass a bill that most of the salaries or allowances be reduced to at least a minimum, barest minimum?
Well, I mean, if that's an issue, I am for moderate salaries, and so that if that will help a lot of other people in your constituency. And also the issue is the salaries that they make might be, in people's opinion and in every standard, reasonable to take care of their needs. So, and then I'm thinking that they should also help in other things outside their salary to help with the needs of the people. Yeah, if it requires for the salaries to be cut for legislators so that it can help the populace, I'm all for it.
Okay. Okay, you are running under the platform of APGA. The party has no national outlook. What are your chances of winning the general elections?
Well, I don't want to jump ahead of myself. As you know, campaign have not been declared officially. As you know, I'm only an aspirant. I don't have my party's ticket, which that's the next stage. After that, then we'll talk about election. But you're asking me if I scale through and become the candidate for my party, the chances that I have in winning. Well, we get to that hurdle, and when we get there, first thing first, I'm working with the primaries.
Okay, now let's concentrate on the primary, your party's primary. In the constituency you are representing, how many aspirants are coming under the platform of APGA? Well, to represent Himemba, no Itobom and Dogo.
Yeah, I don't have the count of people that have interest, because this is in a democratic time. You will not checkmate who is trying to do what. But I am an aspirant, And that's what I am interested in. I am not being interested in other aspirants as to what, when, and how they want to do it. And of course, the party will find out at the end who will actually win election for them and who will really attract the electorates who to win elections for them. I'm sure the party will do due diligence enough to pick the right person. But to answer you, I am an aspirant just like any other person. So I don't know how many that will.
Okay, what are your chances of winning the primary, the ticket for your party? You've been doing your groundwork, you've been having grassroots motivations and sensitizations. So far, how could you place yourself in the primary?
Well, with humility, I would think that we are doing pretty good in the area of sensitization and getting people to know to get their PVC first, because if you don't have your PVC, you won't be getting the election. So I will also use this opportunity, now that they have extended the period for 2 more weeks, the INEC, for everybody, even those in diaspora, to contact your family members in Nigeria to go ahead and get their PVC. It's very important. And then coming to how we are, where we are in primaries, or whether we think we are doing well. Well, every other person, if you ask a question, will say that they are doing well. Yeah. So I will say that we are also doing well until we go through the primaries. So, I won't take anything for granted, but I'm still working hard, making sure that I prove myself to my party to show that I am worthy of the candidacy, and that I will have the interest of the people at heart, to the extent of getting them to vote for me, should that be the case.
Okay. You live here in Houston, Texas most of your life, and you are going back home to contest for an election. Do you get more support from fellow Nigerians who are also in Houston, Texas?
Well, like you rightly said, I've lived here most of my life. In fact, this November will make it 30 years I've lived in Houston, Texas, and have been there and done that in several other things. But, you know, I know Houstonians will step up when the time comes. And then I have not called on them yet, and I know when I do, they will. So we're trying to do our best to secure the primaries, get through the primaries, and then secure the ticket. And I'm sure they know that they will support their own, and they are good at that, and I believe that they will when that time comes.
Recently, APUGA launched their international office here in Houston. How far has it been since that inauguration?
Well, as you know, it's the diaspora branch of APGA. I traveled home a few months ago as I was doing, trying to get to the leadership to know that having APGA office here in diaspora will be a very good thing to do, knowing that we have a lot of our people here. And they agreed and charged us with the responsibility of inaugurating. And then when I came back, with the help of every other person that have been in APGA all this time, we inaugurated, and it's going well. There's nothing to do except that it's an office that will try now to get as many people as possible to get to register at home as an APGA member. And also for some of us here in diaspora to, if we have the opportunity, to go home also and register to be APGA members, so, and have their PVC. That's the object. That's exactly what we plan on doing.
But most Nigerians, we are defranchised from voting because we live here and abroad. let us deviate a little bit. Is there anything, if you happen to be in the National Assembly tomorrow, is there anything that the government could do to incorporate Nigerians living abroad, especially during elections like this?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you just read my mind. If I have, or when I have the opportunity to represent my party and then go through the election and win the election, I think one of the very important legislations to be on the table would be to get involved, to involve the diasporas at every level. Because the diasporas are already doing great in the economies of Africa and Nigeria. The last time I checked, I think they are pulling in almost $35 billion yearly, annually in the economy of Nigeria and Africa. And so somebody pulling that much money into any economy, it should be taken seriously. So I think when the time comes, it will be a very important legislation to do so that we can perhaps vote wherever we are. Other countries do it. And we have embassies here anywhere in the world. So we can have that arranged when technology allows that to get the diasporas to impact more by factoring in their votes.
There is this organization, Nigerian Diaspora Organization, created by former President Olusegun Obasanjo in 2000. How do you relate with them?
Well, I have heard of that organization. I am not too familiar with what they do, and but I would think that part of what they should do is to also get involved in doing this particular thing of factoring in the diaspora's vote at the end when we have that opportunity. And while we're here, I know that right now the diasporas are not voting, but at least if their votes cannot count for them, it will be good for them to sponsor people who will go in there and represent them and get their some legislations passed so that their votes can be factored in.
Yeah, but most Nigerians who are willing to go to Nigeria to contest or participate in it, they are scared of the, let me use the remote way politics is being played in Nigeria, unlike what we see here in the Western countries, like in America. So that's it's a way that pulling them out and allowing those who have been in the politics back home to continue to dictate the pace for everything. Do you think that we should not start such fears not to go home and participate?
Of course, I'm a diaspora too, and my life is also important as every other diaspora. But the issue is to try to be involved regardless. We all, there's no economy or no society that is perfect. Just like Nigeria, I don't know what the issues, we're talking about security or talking about whatever it is, it happens other places too. So what we will do is when we face problems in a society, do we run away, withdraw from that society? The answer is no. Like here in US, we have some issues that we can, so and we have not taken off to run away, so we're dealing with it. And then same thing, if we have issues in our country, we'll deal with it when the time comes. Yeah.
Okay, Honorable, we are going to take a break. We are going to come back. When we come back, we're going to ask our guests most of the bills we'll be expecting when he's at the chambers of the House of Representatives. We'll be right back. Don't get away.
discover the uniqueness in the entertainment industry. African Broadcasting Network, ABN, is now the pace setter in the industry. Do you want to advertise your product and services? Count on us. We will do it much more than your expectations. African Broadcasting Network, ABN, will deliver quick and prompt services. Our quality and clarity stands us out when it comes to delivering quality broadcasting. Our staffs are hardworking and versatile in the specific field of office. Our environment is so conducive and we are open to all. We also give advice on how to run your business profitably. African Broadcasting Network is situated at
9894 Isone Street, Suite 875, Houston, Texas 77036.
Contact phone 281-652-8396 and
832-490-8203.
Website www.abntvnetwork.com. ABN, celebrating Africans' rich cultural heritage.
Welcome back to Point Blank Forum. This is a discussion program where we discuss issues affecting Nigerians in diaspora, be it politics, religious, culture. My guest has been Lady Dr. Ijeoma Victoria Ehieze Ni Ebo, an aspirant seeking election from her party, APGA, to go to the Federal House of Representatives, representing Okigwe South Federal Constituency, comprising Ehimembano, Ihitoboma, and Obo. Doctor, though you have said it briefly before, if you have the opportunity to win your party's ticket and at the general election you become successful to go to the National Assembly, tell us one or two bills you have in mind to propose on the floor of the National Assembly.
Well, there are a few laws that needs to be to cover certain groups of people. For instance, the diaspora, we touched it, will be priority when I get there. And also a bill to accommodate children and youth. Our youths have been, neglected a lot, and then we need to also accommodate the disabled people that the elderly. As you know, our elderly, nothing is going for them in that region. It's not only in Nigeria, it's across the board in Africa, where we don't accommodate our elderly, and most of us are going to be elders, are aging fast, and we want to be accommodated, do unto others what we want others to do unto you. We want to accommodate our elders, our infants, our children, our diasporas, and then, of course, to have equity in the things that we do across the board in terms of payments, salaries, and all that. And to work well, and I mean, the issue is not about putting up bills. It's in making sure that we follow through.
Execution, because so many bills have been passed, but some of us don't know the end point of it. Coming to this elderly bill, can you briefly tell us how it will look like if you'll be able to propose it?
Well, I mean, I didn't.
What are we expecting in the bill?
It will be protection, just like we're here. The elderly respected here, protected, not taking advantage of them, and then having a place where they can really retire. If in the most times the children leave homes, just like you and me, leaving home, and then
parents are at the mercy of nobody.
That's right. So we need to think that far. I don't think right now we are thinking that far, but we need to think that far. Because since we are diasporas, we came here, we learned something. So we have
need to take it back.
That's right.
Which means this is going to cut across the breadth and width of Nigerians. It's not going to be an Abuja thing. You pass the bill gets approved, then they're only going to build 1 or 2 houses in satellite towns in Abuja, and they leave the 36 states just like that. Are you going to make sure that if it is approved and there is allocation for it, or a commission is set up to look into it, that every state of the federation, not only states, local governments, every community, because the elders are not in the town, they are in the village. So how are you going to make sure that this thing gets to the grassroots, those who are going to benefit from it?
Well, I certainly think that if you look at me well, I don't think, or perhaps I hope I don't come across as one who will go and represent the Abuja people, because I am for the communities and for our regions that have not been, our elderly that have not been taken care of. It doesn't matter where the elderly come from, but of course it has to be equitable, it has to be fair, where the placement of those will be. But we get there when it's something done on case-by-case basis, of course, depending on a lot of formula, a lot of things to come into play, yeah, which includes the logistics and the leadership and then distribution and statistics and how to put together and get it started.
Yeah, you talked something about salary. Currently, the minimum wage of in Nigeria is 18,000. So, what do you think will be at least, because 18,000 compared to American dollar is not up to I don't know, $10 that a Nigerian takes home at the end of the month. So, what will be your proposal on the salary issue?
Well, I think a few days ago I was, I think the youth corpus salaries, I think, got increased from 19,000 to 50,000. And the young people jubilated, and people were criticizing them as to why the jubilation. I mean, the question is, if you were the one receiving 19,000 all this time, and all of a sudden you get 50,000, then you will be happy. And I don't think the happiness will be translated into anything else except that they are happy that they got the raise. And I'm sure that's the way most Nigerians will feel when they have some raise. It's going to help their families. And I think if you ask me for a number, anything is better than 19,000. It could be 50, it could be 100. You know, a country rich in resources that we have in Nigeria shouldn't have a lot of poor people, and which is what the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, one of them is to stop poverty and hunger all over the world. And I hope that our communities and our governments will key into that agenda and then, you know, do something for our people.
Okay. Nigerian women really involved in politics. When you mention politics to average Nigerian woman, you tell you, no, that is men's affair. What is the cause of this? And why don't they participate actively?
Well, I think the longer we stay, the worse it becomes. Because I still remember in those days when my father was in the house, I saw quite a few number of women, and they were highly respected. Somebody like Justina Eze, who I think you know, contested in a family, in a village where she came from, as opposed to where she was married, and she was respected highly amongst you know, colleagues. And the other people like, you know, Janet Akinrade, I still remember, who related very well, you know, for some of those women. But right now, participation of women in politics is highly needed. For reasons being that, you know, there are certain things that a man in our culture will not stand up to represent. I say it as it is. For instance, representing the disabled children. For instance, I don't see a man raising up and fighting to represent that. It will be a woman who feels and knows how the pain of having children will represent anybody across the board, whether children or infant, youth, everybody. And also the issues concerning women, youth, and children, will not be discussed at the discussion table if you don't have women raising it up. Yeah. And then the intimidation and going on in trying to suppress women in running for elections. It's also there. Some of us cannot bear it, and some of us can manage through, so that you keep your eyes on the goal.
Did you have such intimidation since you declared your intention?
I reserve my comments, but of course, the intimidation is something that women have gone through over the years and still do, and that is the reason why most women are not coming up. Because I'll tell you one intimidation: when a woman tries to come up to do something bigger, they tell the husband, this woman, it's open eye, and then or you put one thing or the other on her. Maybe she is going after men, or just to make sure that you dampen her spirit and get her family to tell her to withdraw on that. And other kinds of intimidation. And of course, intimidation of not having women over the years, having their own money and their own resource. Because of course our money is our husband's money, and then and our children's money. So we don't have something you call your own that you will use to
in case of something, yes.
Things like that. So you get what I mean by when the men come to do it. But when you are educated and then you see your colleagues that are men, I'm hoping that we will relate to each other respectfully and with the courtesy required for both men and women.
Did you have the support of your husband and family in this race?
Of course, because if I don't, I will not attempt to aspire, because I think I haven't been married for close to 30 years now. And my husband and my children, knowing my passion and what makes me happy, they know that I will be happy if I put myself in a position where I will be doing also for other people what I do for them. So, and I got their consent before I started declaring. Yes, the answer is yes.
Still on the issue of women in politics, we've gotten the cause. One of the major reasons is intimidation from their men's fold, maybe husband, family, and then, okay, what could be the remedy for this? How can we arrest such situations to take away these fears, these intimidations, and allow women participation to be in politics in Nigeria freely?
Well, the remedy will be in the minds of people for them to think back what over the years, what they have done, in different regions, way back to even Nigeria, where in 1929 the Aba women riots, and also not to underestimate the importance of women. I'll tell you one quick comment put to me. I have not even started, but somebody have already told me that the issue at hand is too important, that I will not understand, that this is not the time for a woman to represent my constituency. And I looked at all these comments, and all I can say is, when would it be the time for a woman to come up and represent their people? If that answer is not clear, then as to when, then it means that it's not being fair, what is done to women. And I encourage women, if they are watching right now, to please don't look on
all these comments
and
any threats.
Leave above that and go for what your heart is, and step up and make sure that your children, the future of your children, the youth, it's taken care of. And it's too important to be left in the hands of few people who they think we don't understand, but I think we understand more than they think we do.
Okay. In the same relation, we are talking about women. We also look at the youth. They have this laissez-faire attitude to government, to politics, because maybe most of our youth have been abandoned. Some come out from school, no job, doing a menial job. That contributed them not having that interest in politics. So what do we do to change the youth's mindset?
Well, for so many years now, our VKS Global Charities, we've been able to do a little bit of mentoring for our youth. And I think we lack mentoring in our society right now. I still think, go back to when my dad was in there, that he mentored a whole lot of people. Not only did he legislate, he also mentored. He negotiated, he mentored, he executed a whole lot of things. So back to our youth, I have tried something that I see that works. And that is to pay attention to their needs and look into their future and speak to them honestly, with openness, and they will know that when you mean well for them, they will know that you really somebody who they can pay attention to. And they also know when you don't have interest in them, just like you rightly said. We've neglected them over the years, no creativity, the schools are not equipped to even let them think about the future. And then when they come out from the school that they've attended, there won't be no job. So they have a reason to have a laissez-faire attitude if they do. But I am encouraging them to step out of that their comfort zone and live above what they have right now, and be creative enough to think that their future is also as important as them, to take it upon themselves to see that the future is bright for them by doing creative things. The government cannot give you job all the time. Not even American government gives job all the time. You can do certain things that can help you by being creative and helping yourself, and being, instead of an employee, be an employer of labor and help other people. So, and I trust that the youths that I have come across, and they are very fine youths that really mean well. It's just that we have not paid well enough attention. If we do, we will see the heart of these youths.
One thing also that is striking when it comes to this youth issue is in the area of government appointment. You will see in government, appointment goes to 70 age, a man or woman, 65, while we have some brilliant youth, 30, 35, 40. Nobody is recognizing them, nobody is putting them into a position of making decisions, So do you think that what the government is currently doing in appointing all these old elderly people is enough thing for our country, Nigeria? Abandoning the youth and who have current qualifications. We are in a jet age, and most of our children just graduated from university with the latest technology. Do you think the government is doing the right thing?
Well, I would not say that the government is doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. They are doing what they think it's okay for them. But to answer you frankly, the youths that I know, that's why it's important for them to step up and go for their rights. Step up and do things that are amazing to even surprise the leaders, the so-called elders. Because I know about the youth that I have come across. They are my arm and my leg. They are the ones that do things for us technologically, and then otherwise, the brains are sharp. And
we need to tap into such opportunities.
We really need to learn
build
from
our
them.
country. Yeah. So, but the youth should not be allowed to be used as thugs, or whenever they come around with some stipends, and you say your conscience, you say yourself, and at the end of it, they forget about you. So the message to the youth is that, look, when they come to you, if you know that person is not the right candidate, be open enough, be courageous enough to say, no, we are not going to vote you, because if you go there, you forget us. So our youth should also help ourselves. It's an election time. Some youth think election time is the opportunity for them to get some money or some property. Maybe they use vehicles for campaign, and at the end of it, they take it away. No, but you think of our future. Think of your own future. If you don't have job, think of somebody who will go there and represent and create job for you. Think of somebody who will consider your own future, not somebody who feel that, oh, I have said to you during the campaign, I don't have any business with you again. So our youth should also help themselves. Instead of dodging out of politics, we should participate. Politics is all about participation. It is not something you come overnight and you be recognized. Like you said at the beginning, you were carrying suitcases for your father, and one or two things you got from there, and it's helping you today. But if you are not there, if you don't participate, you will not learn anything. We all know that experience is the best teacher. So our youth need to participate to learn one or two things to help them out. Okay, we are going to go on break. When we come back, we are going to look at our own participation, Nigerians who are living in America here, our own participation in American politics. Are we doing the right thing? Are we participating adequately, or do we think it is not necessary? We'll be right back.
Discover the uniqueness in the entertainment industry. African Broadcasting Network, ABN, is now the pace setter in the industry. Do you want to advertise your product and services? Count on us. We will do it much more than your expectations. African Broadcasting Network, ABN, will deliver quick and prompt services. Our quality and clarity stands us out when it comes to delivering quality broadcasting. Our staffs are hardworking and versatile in the specific field of office. Our environment is so conducive, and we are open to all. We also give advice on how to run your business profitably. African Broadcasting Network is situated at
9894 Eastern Street, Suite 875, Houston, Texas 77036.
Contact phone 281-652-8396 and
832-490-8203.
Website www.abntvnetwork.com. ABN, celebrating Africans' rich cultural heritage.
Welcome back to Point Blank Forum, a discussion program where we analyze issues affecting Nigerians, especially in diaspora. My guest has been Lady Dr. Ijoma Victoria Ehieze Ni-Ebu, a House of Representative aspirant seeking election under the platform of APGA for Okigwe South Federal Constituency. Okigwe South comprises a member, no Ihitu Uboma and Obu. Ma'am, Most of us Nigerians are domiciled here in the United States of America. Do you think we are adequately participating in the U.S. politics, or it is not necessary for Nigerians to do so?
It is very necessary for Nigerians to participate in the American politics because everything is boiled down to policy making that affects a group, a region. And then, you know, I'm sure most of the youths now are coming up, the generation that we have didn't think it was necessary when we came here, go to school, you need to go back. But the youths that we have here, they are participating in American politics. We hope that they will participate more than our generation, because it's important that we have representation, you know, so that when the issues of your continent or your country is mentioned, you have something to put up to their benefit.
I think you are very right, because Nigeria, according to statistics, is like we have the highest number of immigrants here, especially in Houston. And in the city council, we don't have a more today. We don't have somebody speaking for us. If you go to like Bel Air, you can see Chinese language being used on the street. It's because somebody is speaking for them. Bisonet is like Nigerian street, and nothing to show for it. Nigerian comes, independence is on October 1st. If it were not Chinese, the Bel Air would be closed, and there will be police all around monitoring the whole thing. But here in Nigeria, so do you think Nigerians here will also contribute why especially Houston Council is not recognizing us? No, because we don't have enough political power.
Well, I think that we need to put a little more time in and change our priorities. You know, some of us here, we have you know, a lot of things going on business-wise, then trying to work and make a living, and then the next thing you are into your children and then helping them. I think we need to pay more attention to what's going on in the environment where we are. And that is the same problem we have in Nigeria, lack of citizens' participation, you know, which is one of the reasons why the leadership get away with anything. Yes. Because if the citizens are aware of their rights and what is expected of their leaders, things will change when a leader that you put in there start behaving or acting or privatizing public funds that is meant for your community. Yeah, so we need to step up either way, anywhere we are.
Okay, yes, you are right, because like you rightly said, if you have money and somebody is deciding how you use your money, making policies for you, the person is controlling your money. I think Nigerians' dependency on I can survive, I'm a businessman, I can invest in this, but we are not thinking about who are those making those decisions for us to be in that business. Because if you have somebody who speaks for you, no, assuming maybe they're increasing the tariff, if you're shipping stuff to Nigeria and somebody says, no, tariff is going to be 10,000, because you are involved, you can say no, because your people are also involved. This is where your people make a living. You can say no, you can negotiate. Politics is all about negotiation. You come to a round table and you bring your points, but if you don't have somebody there and somebody is speaking like what they say in Igbo language, if you're not where they are roasting yam, your own yam will be by the side. So we encourage Nigerians, especially here in Houston. We have educated people, we have intellectuals who are in Nigeria living here. They need to come up and go there and represent our community. We have a good number of people to vote them in here. Another thing is, do we participate during the election here in the US? How many of us can come out and working 8 hours, 12 hours and say, okay, I'm not going to work today, I want to queue up and do the voting. So that's right, we are right. We encourage Nigerians to participate more so that we'll be able to have a voice. Let's talk this before we go to your 501c organization. What is your, in a 5 minutes, assessment of the present day government from the federal to especially Imo State where you come from?
Well, the assessment of anything, any government or any family, it's, in my opinion, it depends on what the outcome and the impact that the leadership is having in the communities, or the level of development, or level of things going on good for that community. And then my assessment of our government, Nigerian government, you said, I will not stay here and say that Nigerian government is the worst in the world. No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't even stand here to say that the president is the worst president that Africa have ever had. I wouldn't say that, because that, I still, you know, I will obey and be sure that our leaders are respected. However, what I can say is that a leader might have good intention, and then you surround yourself with people whose intention is different from your intention. So, and then that becomes a problem and taints your image in a way that is not expected. Like, and also it boils down to what our citizens are expecting. It seems to me that you know, communities in Nigeria, our citizens, we expect nothing. And so, because if we expect something, we need to step up and look for it, and ask questions, and make inquiries. And then when those things are not done, we ask why. You know, when the why aspect is not done, then if you were on the other end of being a leader, you will be complacent and sit down, because
maybe they're comfortable.
Your followers are comfortable. They're not saying a thing. So that's why it's important that citizens know their rights and know what is expected of their leaders. And then when that is not done, then they ask why. And then the why will lead to making a move to get your rights. And making a move to get your right could include unseating the people that are there, that are not giving you your right things. Or it could be, you know, going and asking questions and going to your legislators to say, what is our rights? Why are we not having, is our name in the budget at all? And on and on. And what are we getting for our state? And when it comes down to the state, you know, we also need to ask questions. Why is the budget coming from the federal to the state? Why is it not translating into community development?
Yes.
Exactly. So, because in the past, when I go back to when the regime that between my father and Governor Mbakwe, they worked very well. Governor Mbakwe would once say, you say, Eugene, go out there and speak all the English and bring resources to the state. And then my dad would say, okay, when I get the resources, you better take care of my constituency. That relationship, I think, is lacking right now. Whereby, you know, the relationship of making sure that things come to your state and that the state takes care of your constituency, that is lacking. When that comes, and that the citizens need to know their rights to get things done.
Okay, quickly, do you think that the APC government of Imo State has done much work to be allowed to continue after the expiration of the 8 years?
Well, you introduced me as an ABGA aspirant, and then it's not about party. The leadership, they've not been lucky in getting a good leader. But I think that so far, the citizens of Imo State have not seen
democratic dividends.
Yeah, they have not. And I'm saying that truthfully, not to put down any leader, but the impact of their leadership is not being felt so much. And I hope that they understand it that way. So I make some changes, and the changes will be in having people who, in this dispensation, will have the interest of the people at heart.
Did you think your party has a credible candidate that can sit and bring to the people these dividends of democracy?
Of course, and I'm impressed with the number of people, with the credibility of people that are coming in to aspire under the my party, and I know that things will be better if we have people who are credible in government.
Okay, in 1 minute, we're running out of time, Doctor. Tell us briefly about this organization, Vickers Global Charities. Vickers Global Charities is an NGO we formed 10 years ago. We registered with United Nations as one of the NGOs credible with great accountability and helping other NGOs to grow in area of accountability and transparency. And we do things in the communities wherever we find ourselves and find resources, and do those things that the governments don't do, which is to play the role of a non-governmental agency that see to the needs of the people directly. That's what we do, and we'll continue to do that. Okay, thank you, Doctor, for having time to come to the studio. We wish you well in your aspiration, and we hope that after the end of it all, you will be there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hello viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of Point Blank. Our guest has been Lady Dr. Ijoma Victoria Enyeze Ni-Ebo. It's been very wonderful having her on the studio. We have talked so much. Next week, we are going to come back with another guest with another interesting topic. Till then, my name is Kizito Osimnobi Ibe. Thanking you for watching.